Hello everybody, my name is Bodo Mitrescu and welcome to this interview with Frank Pucelik, the co-developer and co-founder of NLP and also the co-editor of his brand new book, The Origins of Neuro-linguistic Programming. We're going to do a talk about this new book and about the spirit of 40 years of NLP. Frank?
Thanks, hi.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
So wonderful, thank you for doing this interview with us.
It's a pleasure.
If you look back at 40 plus years of NLP, what are the most significant events or experiences that stand out for you in all those years?
Well, probably most likely the first 7, when we were all together in Santa Cruz, basically the people who began or started NLP. And there were, I'd say altogether about 15 or 18 people that over the period of those first 7 years were involved in the development of NLP. I left in '77, actually early '78 I think when I actually left, but I left the team in '77. And those were 7 exciting, dynamic, we started out with a group of about 10. And for the first 2.5 years, and most of those, in fact all of those people have no reputation in the field of NLP. They all not all of them graduated, but they all graduated in those following years and went off to different careers and whatever. And then there were other kind of generations that filled in little by little during the 7 years, in which Judy, Leslie, Robert, Stephen, David Gordon, who else? A lot of other people became involved in '75, '76, around in there. And then they've kind of become known as some of the original people. So, great 7 years. You know, I've had lots of other experiences since then that were related to NLP, but I took over treatment centers for drug addicts and alcoholics in Oklahoma after about 1983 till about 1987, and that was a powerful experience for me. My friends and I produced the finest treatment programs that America had ever seen up to then for young people, but it was hard times for drug and alcohol abuse at that time. That was a great experience. I loved it. And then kind of starting my life over again in Russia was a strong experience and very interesting, very dynamic. I've lived here now, or in Russia and the Ukraine now for the last 23 years, so obviously I liked it.
Yeah. All right. If you go back to the very beginning, what were your first experiences within the atmosphere of the origins of NLP? So before it was named NLP, what were the experiences that you had those times?
Originally, Richard Bandler and I were partners at the university, leading Gestalt training groups. He had learned Gestalt kind of indirectly through working in science and behavior books and looking at Fritz's tapes and manuscripts and books and so forth, and he was very, very good at it. I had learned Gestalt in San Diego at the college that I transferred from before I transferred to UC Santa Cruz, and I had an incredible amount of experience with sensitivity groups, encounter groups, Rogerian, listening skills, anybody I could study before then, but particularly like Gestalt, and kind of considered myself semi-young expert in Gestalt. Richard and I found out that we were both doing the same things, and for several reasons, mostly economic reasons, we got together at the university and started doing groups together. Fun. Richard was excellent, and I think I was good too. And we had a good student following, and it was a way for Richard and I to make some money and have some fun doing it. Richard invited John Grinder to come and observe our training groups.
Yeah.
And it took some arm twisting to get him there the first time or two, but eventually he came and observed our groups for a while, and after the groups, he would he would ask us questions about whether we knew about this language structure or that language structure, or I noticed this, I noticed that, did you do that on purpose, and so forth. And whoa, Richard and I were blown away. We were kind of, Richard and I are both the world's best utilizers. So, we acted like we knew what we were doing when we didn't. And that's been Richard and my game for our entire lives. And, but we understood that what John was teaching us about our own behavior was pretty exciting. And especially the linguistic patterns and linguistic structures. And so we started to, after 4 or 5 kind of casual meetings, we decided to do it on purpose. And then after 4 or 5 more purposeful meetings with just the 3 of us, some other students got wind of what we were doing, graduate students mostly, brilliant people, and incredibly well educated. And the University of California, Santa Cruz was an elite college in America at the time. And only the best of the best got in. And so here we were with graduate students, the best graduate students in the country, volunteering to be part of our experimental groups. And they made incredible contributions, I thought. And so we just developed accidentally. And accidentally is probably not the wrong word. We developed because it was fun, because it was exciting, because it was interesting as hell, and we were learning some things that we thought maybe nobody else knew, about language patterns and stuff like that. So it was fun.
And what was the atmosphere in those practice groups with the students?
Exciting, fun, playful, experimenting, creating, learning. As close as you can get to being serious about learning something and having a hell of a lot of fun at the same time. I mean, we were a little bit, arrogant, a little bit disrespectful, a little bit game changers, a little bit, and all of the guys were incredibly well educated. I mean, these were not kids off the street. These were graduate students at one of the most difficult universities in America to get into. They'd already proven their worth and their value as in their level of education. These were incredible people. So we were developing things that nobody had ever done, as far as we knew, that nobody had ever done. And there were several graduate students in psychology who knew a great deal about what had already been done. And we were, discovering is the wrong word. We were recognizing the patterns that some of the greats were using that they didn't even know they were using. And because we were able to recognize the pattern, we could use it more systematically than they did. And so we were rapidly getting better than the best. And plus, we could add the best of Fritz with the best of Virginia, with the best of Carl Rogers, with the best of Eric Byrne, with the best of the best of the best of. And we were using the patterns of all of them at the same time. Well, nobody had ever done that before. And we were excited. I think one of the major contributions of NLP, that I don't think people even know about, was that we were the ones that changed the whole understanding of psychotherapy. Because until we became arrogant and disrespectful, the different psychotherapy systems would argue with each other about which one was the best. And they believed that Gestalt was better than TA, was better than Freudian, was better than Reichian, was better than, and they argued. And yet all of them were ineffective. I mean, Gestalt was one of the best, conjoint was one of the best, but even those were effective with anywhere from 20 to 35% of the clients they worked with. And the best, they said, were resistant clients or mistakes or something. Well, we figured out that, wait a minute, each problem state that a client has a particular pattern. And certain therapies are designed to deal with particular patterns. So if by accident, the pattern that the therapy is designed to work with fits the pattern that the client uses to create their problem, then that therapy is a miracle. But what if the client has a different pattern and that therapy is not designed to fit that pattern? Well, okay, what therapy is? So do you understand what that means? that for the first time in therapeutic history, we said, wait a minute, it is not the therapy that's real, it's the client that's real. And you must change the therapy to fit the client. Before that, it had always been change the client to fit the therapy. Yeah. Interesting? So we reversed that. Yeah. And we started to say, wait, you find a client, you figure out what's the pattern of the client's problem, and then you go to the therapies and you pick the therapy that fits the client.
So you put the client first.
The client
you
first.
Understand the client.
Nobody had ever done that before. Okay. Us. Nobody. You know, everybody was saying the therapy's first, the therapy's real, the therapy's best. And if the client doesn't fit the therapy, then something's wrong with the client. You understand? Yeah. You know, and we're going, whoa, wait. No. It's something wrong with the therapy. That was very difficult for the psychological world to accept.